Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Coast News. And as always, we've got some amazing news from different theme parks, rides, attractions and events all over the world. So let's get straight into the news today. Our top story for tonight, Nemesis Sub-Terra has officially reopened at Alton Towers. And this has been quite a long time us enthusiasts have been waiting for this attraction to reopen to the public. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically, Nemesis Sub-Terra is a indoor drop tower attraction built located at Alton Towers. It originally opened in March 2012. Obviously, it's part of the Forbidden Valley section of the park. And obviously, it is a spin-off attraction of Nemesis, which is literally just adjacent to Sub-Terra. It's obviously one of two Nemesis spin-offs, with the other one being Nemesis Inferno at Fort Park. And this attraction, when it first opened, it was obviously an indoor ABC rides drop tower. So it's basically like the same sort of drop tower you find like the various dungeons, like the Blackpool dungeon, and things like that. And it's also a walk-through attraction as well. So it's kind of like a multitude of different ride types. It's obviously got a lift section where you descend in underground. Obviously, it doesn't actually take you underground. Basically the floor vibrates to make you think you're going down. And you go into the drop tower and you drop downwards, which actually goes underground about 20 foot. And obviously, it's very much inspired by Alien Extraterrestrial, which used to exist at Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. Obviously, when that last operated, it was known as Stitch's Great Escape, but obviously Sub-Terra was more inspired by the original version of Stitch's Great Escape, which is obviously Alien Extraterrestrial. But obviously, when it first opened, a lot of people were quite disappointed with it, mainly because they hyped it up quite a lot as if it was a major attraction. They even branded it as the scariest ride at Alton Towers. They did this kind of marketing with 13 when that first opened back in 2010, a couple of years prior. They had that, even literally, when they had press ride preview rides for 13, you have to even sign a waiver saying that they're not liable for if you're scared too much by this ride, even though it's literally just a family coaster. Yeah, the marketing for Sub-Terra was kind of like that. It only operated for about 3 years. It closed in August 2015. It's just been sat there, kind of abandoned for the past few years, apart from in 2018 and 19, where it's used as a scare maze called Project 42. But Alton Towers recently announced that it was going to reopen on 27th of May as part of the Phalanx storyline regarding the Nemesis retrack, which was going to reopen in 2024. And I actually rode it last week in the Rebirth of Nemesis Sub-Terra video. You can go watch that full video right now, but I thought it was absolutely fantastic and very underrated attraction. And I'm glad to see that it's actually officially reopened to the public. We've got another ride at Alton Towers back in operation, and it's a great addition to the park, and I hope it operates for longer than 3 years to come. In other news today, Wildcat's Revenge has officially opened at Hersheypark. And this has been a lot of hype building up around this attraction in America, like American enthusiasts, because if you don't know what I'm talking about, basically, Wildcat's Revenge is an RMC hybrid coaster. Obviously, it's built by Rocky Mountain Construction. It's located at Hersheypark in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And obviously, it's a iBox conversion of the previous Wildcat roller coaster, which was originally opened in the 1980s and was built by Great Coasters International, the same company that manufactured Wicker Man at Alton Towers. But obviously, the ride reached the end of its service life last year, July last year. Well, I'm not sure if it reached the end of its service life, but basically last year they closed it. They had final rides on it in July last year. And since then, they started all the work on it. They started taking on track out, RMCing it. And then they made the announcement later on in the year, last year, that it was going to be converted into a brand new RMC hybrid coaster called Wildcat's Revenge. Now, the weird thing about this is, unlike a lot of RMC coasters recently, it's not trying to break any records. It's not the tallest RMC, it's not the fastest, it's not the steepest. I think it's got an 83-degree drop. It's 140 foot tall and reaches a maximum speed of 70 miles an hour, something like that. I don't know. But they weren't actually trying to break any records. However, the layout of it looks intense and very unique for an RMC coaster. Obviously, it's got a lot of classic elements like the wave turn and the outer bank stall, and the wing over drop, things, just RMC elements, but it's also got just very unique sort of layout for RMC. And obviously, a lot of enthusiasts were thinking, oh, this is going to be the best new roller coaster to open in 2023. Obviously, it looks absolutely fantastic, and I'd say, even though I've not been on any RMC coaster, I'd say that the layout of Wildcat's Revenge probably looks more exhilarating than the layout for Air Force One, which is the other RMC to open this year in America. Obviously, Air Force One was built from the ground up at Fun Spot Atlanta. It opened in, I think, end of March, something like that. And obviously that ride looks absolutely fantastic. They both look amazing. But I think out of the two, I'd probably prefer Wildcat's Revenge, just because like the layout looks a lot more. Obviously, it's much more of a compact ride, and it looks just so much fun. And obviously, they've designed all the ride vehicles so that it's got 3 trains, Wildcat's Revenge, and each one has a different Zero car at the front that got like different animals on it. Because it's themed to like a Wildcat. And overall, Wildcat's Revenge looks absolutely fantastic. It's obviously Hersheypark's first RMC, and I just love this ride, and I can't wait to see how it performs with guests because it's open today. Also in the news today, Pipeline the Surf Coaster has officially opened at SeaWorld Orlando. And I'm so glad to see that this has finally opened after years of speculation. But if you know what I'm talking about, basically, Pipeline the Surf Coaster is a brand new B&M roller coaster located at SeaWorld Orlando in the USA. It is the world's first surf coaster from B&M. And basically what that is, it's like another new version of the stand-up coaster. However, it's capable of launches. And obviously, when this was first revealed, people were thinking, why are they bringing back the stand-up coaster? Because obviously, I've never been on a stand-up coaster, but from what I've heard, they are notorious for being very uncomfortable ride experiences. And obviously, the original pattern for the surf coaster was revealed in, I think, 2019, like the middle of 2019. Basically, B&M had just filed a patent for a new ride type called the surf coaster. And there weren't really much detail about what it was at the time. And there were a lot of speculation online, basically saying, what could the surf coaster be? What is this ride? And obviously, later that year, there was speculation of a brand new roller coaster codenamed Project Penguin, which was obviously going to be a surf coaster coming to SeaWorld Orlando. Now, obviously, whatever Project Penguin was, I'm assuming it's the surf coaster, but obviously that never materialised because obviously Pipeline Surf Coaster, which we've got now, is obviously themed to surfing, not penguins. Unless Project Penguin was going to be icebreakers, obviously that's themed to ice, but I'm not sure. Point being, it was planned way back in 2019, so about 4 years ago. And obviously since then, we had COVID and all kinds of plans have been delayed. Icebreaker, which was supposed to be the next coaster, got delayed by 2 years. So it didn't open until last year. It was supposed to open in 2020, along with Iron Gwazi, Pantheon, and I think Texas Stingray, which did actually open at SeaWorld San Diego, I think. Or was it SeaWorld San... I don't know. But basically, most of the SeaWorld coasters that were supposed to open in 2020 got delayed, and as a result, every attraction planned for the SeaWorld parks at the time were also delayed by however far they did done it. So obviously, Pipeline the Surf Coaster didn't open until literally last week. Last Saturday, which is obviously the same opening day as Nemesis Sub-Terra. And from what I've heard, it looks absolutely fantastic. Another thing I've noticed about this new ride concept is that on the airtime moments, the seats for the ride actually lift up slightly to get more airtime on those moments. And that's such an ingenious concept. It's basically like airtime that happens on purpose. Like, it's such a cool concept, and I hope to see that on more coasters, hopefully in the near future. And I cannot wait to see how the B&M Surf Coaster does in the industry and if they build more. And finally in the news today, Arctic Rescue has officially opened at SeaWorld San Diego. And I know this episode about coaster news has been mainly about brand new ride openings. That's kind of a good thing, but if you know what I'm talking about, basically Arctic Rescue is a brand new roller coaster at SeaWorld San Diego. Obviously it is the newest SeaWorld. Oh yeah, the other coaster that was supposed to open in 2020 was Emperor, which is the B&M dive coaster at San Diego. But anyway, it's I believe their 4th coaster in like the last 5 years. I think, yeah, because obviously in 2018 they got Electric Eel, 2019 they got Tidal Twister, 2020 they were supposed to get Emperor, which is the B&M dive coaster, but obviously that got delayed by a couple of years, so that opened last year. And this year they've got an Arctic Rescue, so there's quite a lot of investment going into SeaWorld San Diego, and pretty much all of the SeaWorld parks at the moment. Because obviously at the moment, like last year, they opened in terms of coasters, they opened Pantheon, Icebreaker, Iron Gwazi, Emperor, all different SeaWorld parks. And then this year, they're opening Dark Coaster, Arctic Rescue, Pipeline the Surf Coaster, and obviously that's the coasters that have opened so far at SeaWorld parks, and quite a lot of investment going into those parks at the moment. There was a lot of speculation during the pandemic that they were actually going to go bankrupt because of all the investments they made for 2020, and then they had to close the parks because of COVID. But obviously, thankfully, they made it through, and they've actually got back into larger scale investments each year again, which is a good thing. They've even built an entirely new theme park in the Middle East in Saudi Arabia, SeaWorld Abu Dhabi, which opened last week, featuring 2 brand new roller coasters, and looks absolutely amazing. As for Arctic Rescue, it is an intimate family launch coaster. It's very similar to Wavebreaker, the rescue coaster at SeaWorld San Antonio, but obviously it's got more of the Arctic theme. And I must say, it's actually kind of good that they're adding this new ride into it. Obviously, it's SeaWorld San Diego's 3rd launch coaster. Unless you count Tidal Twister as a launch coaster, but I don't think that counts. So 3rd launch coaster is the 2nd family launch coaster, with the other one being Manta, which opened in 2012. And I'm glad that they're adding it to the lineup, but it wasn't really necessary because they've already got a family launch coaster with Manta. However, it is still a good addition to the park, and it's obviously a good sign that the investments for new coasters at SeaWorld San Diego is not going to stop anytime soon. And I'm glad that they're managing to open new coasters each year. It's a lot like, I'm not going to say it's a lot like Energylandia, where they're adding new coasters each year. It's very similar, but I'm actually really glad that they're investing each year, and I can't wait to see that when the next coaster is, possibly even next year, who knows. So that is it for this week's episode of Coaster News. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you did, then please make sure to like and subscribe, and comment if you'd like to see in the next video. Bye!